form of dominant communication has evolved into a hybrid. In the beginning, humans would do most of the communication through oral storytelling, like that of the Iliad. When the printing press came along, the communication began to awaken the eye in a different dimension. Now, instead of seeing the story being enacted, the individual began making mental pictures and hearing sounds without there being any sound waves at all. From that moment in time, modern technology has dictated how communication is to be exerted by adding a new dimension in addition to the oral and the visual, this being the virtual phenomena. This virtual phenomena became an alternative of the physical reality and so becomes the virtual reality. However, the hybrid has not stopped evolving yet. In the middle of the 1990s, the artist Donald Judd had come to the conclusion that modern art is represented by the virtual new medium of three-dimensional work. Then the concept of the real is thrown away with the idea that everything is real, even photographs, because everything is pointing to a reality. The truthness of the statement is not true. The thought alone indicates that humans are just confused and have given up trying to categorize what is real and what is fake. Why is this so if humans love category? This is because a new form of communication has been introduced into the society of the spectacle, the hyperreal. Hyperreality is different from the virtual reality in the sense that it not only involves computer-generated realities, it also involves the physical reality. The virtual reality and the physical reality are interacting with each other to the point where there is a confusion between the two, creating the sense that it seems natural. The latest developed example is in the form of a product known as Microsoft Surface. Microsoft Surface consists of a coffee table that has a touch screen as its surface. The Surface is able to recognize just about any technological device that is put directly on top of it. The interesting thing about it is that once the device is put on top of the table, you have access to the device in both a physical and virtual sense. For example, if you put a digital camera on top, the pictures will be projected on the surface and left to your free will of resizing and moving around. But the best part is when you simply drag it with your fingers into a different camera that happens to be on the surface of that table as well. The transfer of one picture to another device is done by the hand and the computer-generated reality. Human intelligence and computer intelligence both work as one to get the job done, each in their own pure form. People actually start believing that the pictures being projected are real, even to the point of preferring the digital version over the paper version. Hyperreality explains where the real happiness lies. Humans seek simulated stimuli and imitation of a transient simulacrum of reality because it is better than the real reality itself. This is why relationships between two individuals is virtual, thanks to the use of the following technologies: the cell phone, the digital camera that makes up a series of images of your lover, the GPS system that locates the lover that you cannot trust, the text messaging that makes it easier to say things that you can't say out loud, and the virtual chat rooms. The virtual chat room is the latest addition to this list and works in a curious way that makes the relationship appear like a video game. The individual chooses how the three-dimensional character is going to look and starts maneuvering this character in virtual space so that it could interact with the other character that he or she is interested in. Now you could hang out in virtual space, literally. The virtual contact is replacing the physical contact. In 1994, Mario Brambilla directed the movie called Demolition Man that is placed in the future where humans no longer are allowed to exchange bodily fluids. This includes kissing too. Sex is performed through the use of sex helmets that simulate erotic actions in the mind. So when Sandra Bullock invites Sylvester Stallone to have sex, she brings out the sex helmets and sits at the other end of the space, enjoying the telekinetic sex with Stallone on her own. Absolutely no contact at all. This is an example of the human interacting with another human through the medium of the virtual. However, what can be said of the human that only likes to interact with the computer? Why not make it act and look like the other lover in the relationship? In the year 2000, hyperreality has come up in the spectacle again, saying that the other human is no longer needed for the relationship. The Sixth Day, a movie directed by Roger Spottiswoode, introduces this idea in the scene where the virtual woman makes her appearance. Now the man can have the luxury of being satisfied by a virtual projection. This does not come as a shock because people like talking to machines. Now machines can talk to humans, like in the movie Iron Man, where the superhero has conversations with his computer. Whether or not that is possible, I for my part am not sure, but one can start seeing traces of it in the way that cars are talking to humans now. As a hyperreal relationship between human and computer starts becoming more common, the computer starts being perceived as if it is natural. It has been brought up before that robots have the ability to feel, like in Terminator, and the reason could very well lie in the true desire of the human. In the world of art, Andy Warhol explains that he paints the way that he paints because he wants to be a machine. In the world of architecture, the waterproof coats that are supposed to be worn in the Bloor building are supposed to light up, indicating attraction, sort of like a mood ring for love. So the robot, the machine, the computer, the virtual projection all start becoming a species that humans are being attracted to. The question lies on whether the robot could have emotions. It's something that humans are still trying to figure out, but for now, one can at least wish that the robot can feel love.